And tonight we are going to be heavy on the finance minister's presentation to Parliament. It's been in the news the whole of today. He's been talking about the Ghana cedi, the IMF, and of course the Eurobond. Well, he has emphasized the recent oversubscription of the Eurobond sale, indicating that there's confidence by investors in our economy. Addressing Parliament today, Mr. Oforiatta stressed the Akufo-Addo administration had to choose the difficult path of exiting the extended credit facility of the IMF to be able to stabilize the economy.
Formal completion of our extended credit facility program with the IMF. Secondly, the historic €3 billion Eurobond issuance. Thirdly, the recent developments on the foreign exchange market and the cedi, and this week's visit of the World Bank Vice President for Africa. Mr. Speaker, see, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness. From our holy book of Isaiah. We just want, as a nation, to thank God for what He's doing. Mr. Speaker, you recall that in Section 12 of the 2019 Budget Statement and Economic Policy, I stated that we were on course to completing the extended credit facility with the International Monetary Fund. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to announce that it is now a mission accomplished. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians who have been the victims of poor economic decisions of the past know all too well that the healing process has not been easy. It has been of the past, it has been austere, it has been tough, it has been restraining, but it was necessary. It was necessary because what had been broken had to be fixed by the Akufo-Addo government.
Well, perhaps what has been most topical today is the finance minister's announcement that government would set up a bipartisan committee to investigate the depreciation of the cedi in recent times.
As I indicated during the 2019 budget statement, we recognize that while current resources are insufficient to meet every need and every demand of every Ghanaian, there are no limitations on our collective potential. So, Mr. Speaker, we have been creative in our efforts to take Ghana beyond aid through social partnerships and harnessing our entrepreneurial spirit as a country to build infrastructure, develop industry, and support agriculture. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is doing something right, and it is time we all pull in one direction. The Lord is indeed doing a new thing for Ghana, and we should not be afraid. It is time we build a broad consensus on what is good for the Republic. As Edmund Burke told his electors in 1774, Parliament is not a congress of ambassadors from different and hostile interests. Parliament is a deliberative assembly of one nation with one interest, that of the whole. Mr. Speaker, I believe as a nation we are witnessing God's special regard for Ghana. In a space of 1 week, we saw 21 billion rush for our Eurobond issuance. We successfully concluded an IMF program, and we are experiencing an impressive recovery of the cedi, ending with the World Bank doubling what it had intended to support us with.
All right, so that was the finance minister speaking earlier today on issues to do with the cedi. Essentially, government wants to set up a bipartisan committee to investigate the challenges that we have seen in recent times. As we talk about this, I just want to pull up the current rates as we have been monitoring for you tonight. So the cedi is selling at 5 cedis, 52 pesos to the dollar. And that's a remarkable depreciation for what we saw earlier this week. And we've got the managing director of Barclays Bank, Abnose Poku, commenting about this. She's downplaying concerns that the current challenge with the city has to do with limited supply of dollars. She tells Joy Business the Bank of Ghana has been heavy on the market over the past days.
We've seen over the last week that with the excellent work the government has already done with the 3 billion euro bond, with the Fish positive ratings, credit ratings on Ghana, also with the final IMF closeout report, and with the central bank support over the last week, of FX into the market, you've actually seen yourself that the city has regained its strength, so there actually is no need to panic. As the government said previously, the fundamentals are right. We are excited because we actually see that the macroeconomic situation and picture and outlook is very positive. So we do not foresee that foreign investors should be panicking going forward. If you check the numbers over the last week, Ghana is in a very good place. Engagement with our offshore investors, our foreign investors, they actually are very confident that Ghana is on the right track. We take the time to give them a market outlook every day. So the engagement we've had with them gives confidence to them and to us, that we do not foresee that should happen in the short to medium term, especially because we're expecting the flows to literally come in as well over the next few days.
So what is causing the blips on the market, if we can ask, from just Monday, Tuesday, and even today? And
remember, it's still sentiments, and lots of time there are people that also speculate, but the fundamentals are there for all to see. The four things I spoke about gives confidence that we should not, and there's no reason for any investor to panic. And the engagements that we've had with them, and we've had several, I've had several engagements with them over the last few days, they are actually very confident that Ghana is on the right track.
Do you have the required FX supply to meet your demand?
We do now, and as you've seen over the last week in particular, central bank has really been supporting the industry with more flows than it did perhaps for the first half, of the month. And with the flows that we're expecting in, we should see a lot more inflows.
So that was the managing director of Barclays Bank Ghana speaking there to Georgia. Let's make sense of all of this. Joining us via Skype is certified economist with JP Khan Associates, Elijah Otu-Asian, to discuss what is happening with the city. There you see him right behind me. Thanks for your time tonight. I want us to begin with what is happening with the city currently, because at the beginning of the week it was around 520. Now we are seeing 555. What, in your estimation, is going on right now, especially with the assurances that came from the finance minister sometime last week?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening to all your viewers. Thank you for the opportunity given me to share expert knowledge on these issues. Basically, what is happening on the city is that the key drive of exchange rates is market sentiment. That is how our individual investors feel about the economy. And in every economy, at a point in time, when there is a lot of outflow of capital, then you see that the exchange rate of the country depreciates. So in the case of the Ghana city, what we are seeing, what I can say is that according to my analysis, I know that the city can continue to depreciate over the next couple of years.
So does that warrant the creation of a bipartisan committee, like we have heard the finance minister suggest, to investigate the challenges we are seeing currently? Is it needful?
I think that we all know what is causing the depreciation of the city. And it sounds like a cliche now when people say we import more than we export. But that is an important factor that is driving down the cedi from time to time. Now, if you look at the cedi, according to the momentum theory of the forex market, that theory states if price makes a new high, it can go even higher. And if price makes a new low, it can go even lower. Well, so we, the experts, until we see the cedi trading below Ghana cedi, then it means that we are still on an upward trajectory.
All right, and we have very limited time on this one, but I just want to ask briefly whether you think that things are going to get better or worse in the coming days.
Okay, medium term, we will see a lot of stabilization in the cedi, basically because of the IMF $185 million we received, and also the $3 billion. So these are going to put on some kind of downward pressure on the dollar.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. That was Elijah Otu-Asian speaking there on the cedi, as we have been discussing. Well, the finance minister, after his presentation, engaged the press on a number of issues he raised. My colleague George Afe asked him, first of all, how government hopes to maintain fiscal discipline after exiting the IMF program.
You know, what we have done at the end of last year, we passed the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which in a sense sort of constrained the budget deficit to 5%, and also to ensure a positive primary balance. And then there will be a censure on the Minister of Finance in the event of a breach. And I think that's as far as any sort of law has gone in our history. Then secondly, we also set up the Financial Stability Advisory Council and then the Fiscal Council, which is headed by Dr. Akwa, former governor. The expectation of all of this is to ensure that we are consistently on top of the macroeconomics of the country and making sure that we work within the budget that Parliament would have approved. So those are important. In addition to that, we set up the Economic Planning and Coordinating Council, and that will be chaired by the governor and myself, so that we don't have any slippages, you know, in the macro and fiscal policies. So we feel really good about where we are. And as you know, Article 4 also enables us to continue to engage with the IMF, and we have a resident rep here. So we are looking forward to working effectively to discipline ourselves. As you know, we are signing a social partnership agreement with labor and also employers, and that will be helpful in terms of bringing transparency to how we manage the economy.
And someone say the biggest test will be an election year. How committed are you to sticking to these things when there's pressure from the electorate to spend?
I think the good thing about that is that we've been through an election cycle before in 2004, and as you know, the senior minister and the Kufuor government were able to hold steady. And with all of that, we expect to be able to do that. I think we'll have to front load things like infrastructure, financing and support with the Sino-Hydro transaction. So we are comfortable that we would not need to do anything that would derail the economy in election time.
The committee that has been set up to look at the options to deal with the seasonal issues of cedi depreciation, one would say that what different things are they going to explore? Because some would say the laws are already there in terms of dealing with the seasonal issues.
I don't know that all of the laws are there, and that's what will help with the committee's work. But sure, you're also right, maybe enforcement is also going to be particular, and maybe we are going to look at other countries to see how to ensure that people have proper identification when they are getting foreign exchange, the role of the banks, the role of the forex bureaus, the way in which traders work, how do we facilitate traders by maybe issuing cards, etc. So we think that will all lead, and even examining the type of imports that we bring into the country, and to accelerate, therefore, import substitution businesses and an export-driven culture.
What will be the modalities for setting up this committee? Especially as you said, it's going to be bipartisan in nature.
Yeah, I mean, it means that we certainly have people on both sides of the aisle, and then look at people, experts, traders, bankers, etc., miners, people who have involvement in foreign exchange, to look at comparable regimes around globally and see how best to manage it. I think we have a lot more resources, and we need to make sure that we safeguard it.
How soon are we seeing this in action?
We should be able to put a committee together in the next 10 days.
Well, that bipartisan committee is going to be set up in the next 10 days, as you had the finance minister say there. So we've been asking you on Facebook whether you think that we need a bipartisan committee to fix the current challenges with the city as suggested by the finance minister. And many of you don't agree with that suggestion. 56% saying no, we don't need such a committee, and 44% saying yes. And that is based on 185 votes we have received in the last 3 hours or so following the announcement made by the finance minister. Well, whether or not it's a sign that government is running out of ideas, that's another subject for discussion. But just before we wrap up on this one, I just want to remind you of the current rates. Let's see if it will work. The current, yes, it's working now. The current rates as we monitor the city's performance on the Bloomberg market, that is 5 cedis 52 pesos tonight, from 5 cedis 20 at the beginning of the week. That is showing you that we are not really out of the woods yet when it comes to the city's depreciation. Well, let's move away from that topic and talk about the cost of borrowing, because the level of loans that banks fear might not be paid back has reduced marginally as at the end of December last year. The non-performing loans reduced to 6.6 billion from 8.1 billion cedis in 2017. This is contained in the latest banking sector report from the Bank of Ghana. The following report looks at how the reduction would impact on lending in the country.
Based on the Bank of Ghana data, the decline in non-performing loans was not really as a result of businesses paying their debts, but rather a Bank of Ghana directive to commercial banks to write off a fraction of these debts. This was part of a plan to help them manage their credit risks effectively. It is believed that this could reduce these bad debts on their books. The report revealed that 97% of the loans were owed by private firms, with the public sector taking up the rest. A breakdown of the numbers again showed a chunk of the funds went to the commerce and finance sectors. For some, the development would definitely impact access and cost of the credit in the country. The data showed some decline in credit to businesses. Industry profits also declined marginally, and despite these challenges, the Bank of Ghana maintained that the industry was financially sound and remained liquid to meet all their financial obligations.
Time to bring you some other news. The German embassy in Ghana says it is focusing on increasing private sector investment in the country to reduce youth unemployment. According to statistics, the German government has since independence injected about 1.3 billion euros into various sectors of the economy, with annual allocations pegged at 150 million euros. German ambassador to Ghana, Christoph Retzow, said this when he addressed the student parliament of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Nanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
Already, German automaker Volkswagen is working on establishing an assembly plant in Ghana. It is expected to impact positively on the country's manufacturing sector. Mr. Retzlaff reveals work is being done to promote investment opportunities to German companies.
People leaving university school without finding decent jobs, it's a big problem for each country in every society. So creating jobs is extremely important. That's why we try to bring more German companies here. But it's, of course, not easy always, because Ghana was traditionally not so much on the radar screen for the German business. The German business community tends to look east from Germany. It's going to the east, to Russia and to China and everything. And when they think about Africa, they think about, East Africa and South Africa. So West Africa is a little bit of uncharted territory for them. And that's our task here at the embassy, to tell them, this is it like, and we are here to accompany you, and it's better than you might think,
The embassy has set 3 major areas of interest, including good governance, economic development, and agriculture. The embassy sees agriculture as a major area of attention due to potential to reduce unemployment and ensure food security for economic growth. Mr. Retzlaff believes youth involvement in agriculture is relevant in building a strong sector.
And you know what the average age of the Ghanaian farmer is? It's 60, because nobody of the young generation, they want to do the farmer job again, That's my understanding. They see how difficult it is for their parents and grandparents, doing agriculture without making big progress. So this is a big problem, Big potential for agriculture. You could export your crops to all over West Africa, but instead what you're doing, you're importing agricultural products for $2 billion each year, rice and everything. That costs a lot of money.
Now, telecom services provider MTN says it will not change the pricing and cost plan for services despite the introduction of 4G Plus. Briefing some selected journalists, the telecoms firm revealed that the introduction of the upgraded service is to improve quality of customers using data for their everyday life. Here's a report.
MTN Ghana is the first telecom services provider to offer the 4G Plus data services to customers, which began last week. According to the company, it has deployed about 600 sites across the country to ensure that the network is accessible to all its customers. Chief Marketing Officer at MTN, Noel Kojo-Ganson, explains the company has no plan of changing the pricing plan despite the new service.
Earlier on, there's no additional cost to the customer, just because of the fact that we've rolled out 4G Plus. The data bundles that we have in the market are the same price point, the same megabytes that you're going to get. Probably you're even going to get more of megabytes that you buy on the network, but it will only be determined by the speed at which you're utilizing the MBs that you have. But prices haven't changed, and there's no intention as a business to increase prices now that we've rolled out 4G Plus.
The Chief Technical Officer, Thomas Motopa, also assured that customers on 4G will be upgraded automatically to a 4G Plus network without any challenge.
There is no difference in prices. It's all about what you purchased. If you purchased 1 gig, you'll consume 1 gig the same way you're consuming it on 2G, 3G, and 4G. Okay, and also whether you need to subscribe to 4G or 4G Plus. Once your phone is capable of doing 4G, where if you are in a 4G Plus area, it will be able to give you 4G Plus. You don't need to do anything. The phone will be able to know that it's sitting within a 4G Plus area. And I think cost also is whether it's expensive or cheaper. Like I said before, it's basically what you purchased in terms of megabit. You will consume it the same way on 2G, 3G apart. Except that one technology will be faster than the other.
The company is hoping to roll out about 900 sites throughout the country for the service. Ebenezer Sabute's report for Joy Business.
And that's it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow at the GIPC Ghana on the Go CEO's breakfast meeting at the Labadi Beach Hotel. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching.